Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Khalid. But today is the 31st of January 2024, the last day of the first month of this new year. But of course, this month has come with new destruction, new fatalities, new deaths. And of course, I'm referring to Palestine and day 117 of the conflict or the war, the genocide that has been imposed on Palestine. And this is going to be our leading story, what has been happening in Palestine. Also, I'd like to refer to what the Red Sea issue or the Houthi issue, or the fact that the killing of the 3 US soldiers in Jordan is concerned, and how Joe Biden, the US president, says that he is going to retaliate in a manner that he prefers as and when he decides to do so. Although we don't know which mechanism he is going to employ, Iran's envoy to the UN, Amir Saeed Irvani, wants that Tehran will respond decisively to any attack on its territory, on its interests, or in Indian nationals. Well, although this has all the signs of a conflict or a war escalating, a lot of parties do not want this war to escalate, and that includes Iran and the United States. At the same time, we are seeing the number of casualties that are increasing in Palestine. Almost 27,000 people have been butchered by Israel since the 7th of October, and more than 65,000 people have been injured. A majority of them are children. Many of those children are left without limbs, are left with a future that is bleak and uncertain, also in the wake of the crisis that pertains to the lack of food, water and resources. Speaking of which, UNRWA, of course, as you know, the aid for which has been suspended by many important countries. 21 important aid organizations are getting together and have taken out a statement favoring UNRWA and its work that needs to continue. At the same time, the EU says it has not yet suspended its aid for UNRWA, but the future for UNRWA under the current circumstances looks bleak. But when you look at Israel, it says that truce or not, humanitarian aid coming or not, it is going to continue what it has been doing in Palestine, because of course, as you know, there is a huge element concerning this truce, the ceasefire that is going between Palestine and Israel. Palestine does say that it is looking at the different options and it will respond quickly, but it wants this to be done in stages. But will it happen? When it happens, of course, we'll be updating you with it, but this is going to be our first story. The concern that emanates as far as the Palestinians are concerned, firstly and foremostly, and how this war could escalate. Our second story concerns India. The first, of course, is the hate crime tracker Hindutva Watch that has been blocked in India ahead of the elections that are going to happen in about 3.5 months' time. The website of Hindutva Watch, which is a US-based independent research project that documents hate crimes against religious minorities in India, is no longer accessible in India. This has been said by the government because, of course, sites like these document the truth and highlight what is actually happening within India as far as the minorities are concerned. Whether it be within India or whether it be in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Also, speaking of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir or within India, also there's also an internet clampdown and censorship as far as what the people can gain access to or they cannot gain access to, and this is also a huge issue, specifically when it comes to information or lack thereof, or disinformation or misinformation that India and its organizations are extremely famous for. This is going to be our second story. Then we are going to talk about Malaysia that has welcomed a new king in a rare rotation. Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar is the new king of Malaysia. He will be installed as the country's 17th king under a unique rotational monarchy. It's interesting, and of course the powers that he has also are very interesting. We'll be highlighting those. Then we'll be talking about scientists who have installed the world's latest digital camera, and the largest rather digital camera to explore the universe. This has happened in Chile, and the size of a small car and weighing 2.8 metric tons, the sophisticated piece of equipment will reveal views of the cosmos as never before. And of course, this will start functioning beginning early next year, that is in 2025. The $800 million camera will snap it first shots. Then of course, we'll be sharing then as and when we get hold of those as well. This is going to be our lineup for today. We'll begin with our first story, and that concerns day 117 of the conflict, the war, the genocide on Palestinians by Israel. A lot is happening, whether it be talks of truce or a possible ceasefire and the conditionalities around that, whether it be the row between the US and Iran as far as the killing of the 3 soldiers in Jordan is concerned, and what of course Iran says it has nothing to do with, but US says that those who killed these 3 are backed by Iran. Then of course there is the issue of lack of water, food, medicine and basic facilities in Palestine. Adding to that is the fact that the Israeli army has confirmed that it has been flooding tunnels in Gaza with seawater for several days, which is also creating another humanitarian and health issue. We've been joined by Nader Alturk. He's the Deputy Head of Mission of the Embassy of Palestine in Pakistan. Thank you very much, brother Nader, to have joined us and to have, of course, contributing to us for this very important part of the show, and that concerns your state as well, Palestine. I'll begin with Iran's envoy, brother Nader, to the United Nations, Amir Saeed Irvani, who has warned that Tehran is going to respond decisively if there is any attack on its territory, its interests or Iranian nationals outside of its borders. This comes a day after US President Joe Biden has announced that he has decided how to respond to a drone attack by Iran-aligned Iraqi groups that killed the US service members in Jordan, without elaborating. Do you feel that we are looking at an elaboration or an escalation of this conflict? And in your point of view, what is the option that the US has and which it could use against Iran or against the militants that have killed these 3 US soldiers?
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Omar. Thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to be your guest tonight. It is always a pleasure to be your guest. First of all, the development in our territory in the Middle East has become very dangerous and very serious after the attack in the border of Jordan on the Americans. But this reminds us one thing, that the Americans actually in their mind don't like to increase the conflict in our area, don't like to make others groups, others countries to be involved in this conflict, not because they love humanity, but because they know that the dangers of that going to be very serious of Israel. Because if there is many Arabs or many Muslim countries are involved in this conflict, that means that Israel is going to be in real danger. To remember that the reaction of the Americans, President Biden, give us a very clear evidence that for the Americans, Israelis' blood, American blood is precious, but Palestinian brothers is for free. Palestinian blood is for free. Doesn't mean anything. And again, the Muslim blood mean nothing for them. They killed thousands, hundreds of thousands in Iraq, dozens of thousands in Afghanistan. Before they kill Vietnamese, they kill Japanese, and they don't care about anything. But for them, 3 American soldiers, criminal soldiers, are killers, kill all in different countries, are more important, is more about 27,000 of Palestinians are killed until now. More than 67,000 are injured. More than 10,000 are still missing under the rubble, which show us clearly that the Americans have double standards. They don't looking for the humans as a human beings. They're looking for the citizenship and the ethnic group. And this is actually apartheid thinking, not a human being thinking. So what we are waiting actually to see fair, freedom, justice, not only for Palestinians, not for Muslims. We are looking for freedom and justice for all human beings as a human being, to deal with them in equal way.
All right, Brother Nader, you know, the fact is that there are talks as far as some kind of a truce agreement between Palestine and Israel. The Palestinian side says that they are looking at the different options, but they wanted to have it to be done in different stages. There seems to be some progress as far as that ceasefire deal is concerned. But when you look at the comments from Israel, where Netanyahu refutes reports of a possible truce agreement and says that he will finish the fight until all the goals are achieved. Don't you feel that exposes the real face of the Israeli Zionist government and its leader?
Actually, Netanyahu don't care about the life of Palestinian. On the other hand, he don't care of the life of the Israelis themselves. He only take care and have one thing in his mind, one goal in his mind: stay in the chair of the other prime minister, stay in power. This is the most important thing for Netanyahu. According to that, he's speaking about increasing the timing of the war for 6 months more, 1 year more, and increase the conflict to become with Lebanon, with Yemen, with Egypt, with other countries around, because he likes to create more problem, to increase the conflict, to be sure that you're going to stay as a prime minister. This is the only thing Netanyahu is caring about. With this, I'm thinking, and I think many others are sharing me the same thing, the same idea, that Netanyahu have two ways. Both of it going to make him have the same destiny of Ishaq Rabin. He's going to kill by one, Mr. bin Ghafir and his partners in the government, who are very radical. If he's going for ceasefire, end the crimes against Palestinians, and going for peace, he's going to be killed or shot by the hand of his partner in this radical government. Other choice, if he going for if he become more radical, more criminal, to follow his partner in this radical and criminal government, bin Ghafir and Smotrich and others, he going to be killed by the hands of one of his soldiers who become Siku, run away from Gaza. Okay, he will going to be killed by one of them. I think this is the future of Netanyahu. He don't have other choice to live. This is the only future Netanyahu will have it. I think so.
Brother Nader, the popularity of Netanyahu is decreasing in Israel itself. As per a latest poll, 41% want to see Benny Gantz as the new prime minister. Is Benny Gantz a better option as far as Palestine is concerned, or equally bad as far as a comparison between him and Netanyahu is concerned?
I don't like to be rude, brother, but actually there are two pieces of the same story.
All right. All right, but thank you for everything. Tell me, there's another thing that I'd like to understand your point of view on it as well, and that is the aid to Palestine by UNRWA. We all know that there have been allegations that have been put by Israel about 12 of members of UNRWA who are presently in Palestine, who have apparently aided in the 7th October incident. And UNRWA has taken action. 9 of those 12 have been suspended as we speak, pending further orders for pending a confirmation whether they were involved or not. This said, 21 aid organizations have gotten together and taken out a statement that the work of UNRWA is extremely important and the aid should not be suspended. Antonio Guterres is also speaking to the major donors to persuade them to continue the aid. But will aid continue, or do you feel parallel mechanisms will begin as far as helping Palestinians? Like Canada has said that has of course suspended the aid to UNRWA, but it says that it's going to give 40 million Canadian dollars funding to provide water, food and other humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Do you feel that can help, or do you feel UNRWA is the only and the main agency through which aid needs to enter Palestine?
Actually, brother, to be clear, UNRWA, it is the most trusted institute in the world to receive and supply the humanitarian aid for Palestinians in Gaza Strip and everywhere. So the Israelis and Americans as a one team create this fake story about there is some of Palestinian employee in the UNRWA was involved in the attack on 7th of October. After, when there's evidence, you speak about more than 3 months of the war, from where this idea came and why it is came after the resolution of ICG. because Israelis and Americans right now in the corner. They are under pressure to facilitate give free entry for humanitarian aid for Palestinians, people who are starving to death right now in Gaza. So according to that, this creates this problem to tell you, okay, we are ready to facilitate the entry of the humanitarian aid to Gaza Strip, but who going to receive it and who going to give it to the people? If UNRWA are not trusted and there is no other international organization or local organization trusted for the human society, for the international society to receive and giving this humanitarian aid for Palestinians. This is the plan, which is really a devil plan, to keep our people suffering, to keep our people starving to death, keep our people killed in cooler blood by the Israelis, to continue the scenario of the Israelis to transfer Palestinian people who are living in Gaza outside of Gaza and build settlements in Gaza and make Gaza part of the border of Israel, not as a part of Palestinian state.
Brother Nader, we have to take a short break. We'll be right back and we'll continue our conversation with you. You're watching Newsroom on PTV World. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and of course you're watching Newsroom, and we're discussing day 117 of the Israel-Palestine conflict. We have with us the Deputy Head of Mission of the Embassy of Palestine in Pakistan, Excellency Nader al-Mulk. Brother Nader, I wanted to understand, today the United Nations Security Council is going to meet over the decision by the International Court of Justice that ordered Israel to prevent acts of genocide in Gaza. Looking at the way Israel has been going on since the ICJ ruling began in the just 48 hours, 373 Palestinians were killed, 643 were injured, hospitals were targeted, new checkpoints in Khan Yunis and other places were also established. And then to add to it, the Israeli army has confirmed that it has been flooding tunnels in Gaza with seawater for several weeks, which is creating another humanitarian and health issue, adding to the already lack of water, food and necessary facilities, including medicine. How do you see the situation evolving?
First of all, I'd like to bother to clear 2 points. First point for ICJ decision. Actually, was good, but it is 2 things was missing of that decision. First, it is not ordered clearly for ceasefire in Gaza immediately. Second, it didn't mention that the Israelis leaders and Israel are criminals and need to go for deal with them as war criminals. These 2 things was missing, but actually on the other hand, it is good because it is the first time ever the Israelis are going for international court. And the joke actually is that this same court in 1948 was established to giving justice for the Jew who was victim of the Holocaust. And right now their sons and their grandsons came to the same court in the same crime of Nazi, that they are creating genocide against other people or other ethnic group. This is actually the good things of this order by the International Court. What we are waiting from the Security Council, actually, it is very clear since 3 months until now, we're getting 2 things. We have order from Security Council to facilitate the entry of humanitarian aid to Gaza. And after that, we're getting the decision from the International Court. But with that, Israel is still ignoring that, which means we need our brothers in humanity, our brothers in Muslim countries to start a program of airdrop for humanitarian aid to Gaza. What you are waiting for, our brothers in humanity, to see 2.3 million of Palestinians in Gaza Strip starving to death or bleeding to death? The answer, we need you to make a strong, immediately airdrop for humanitarian aid to Gaza. You don't need to wait for opening of the border of Gaza from the Egyptian area by the order of Israelis. You don't need to have order from Israelis to open their own borders to facilitate the entry of the humanitarian aid. You need right now immediately to start a strong and active program to send humanitarian aid through airdrop.
All right. Thank you very much, Brother Nader al-Mulk, to have talked to us, to have highlighted your point of view, and of course the Palestinian point of view. That is also our point of view in Pakistan as far as this conflict, this crisis, this genocide that is going on since the 7th of October in Palestine. The world needs to come together, and of course, as you said, the airdrop of necessary medicine, food and water would be a good option. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. This was Nader al-Mulk, of course, Nader al-Turk, the Deputy High Commissioner, the Deputy Ambassador, in fact, of the State of Palestine in Pakistan, talking to us about day 117 of this conflict between Israel and Palestine. Let's come to our second story, and our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns India. Now, why we are highlighting India this time? Because hate crime tracker Hindutva Watch has been blocked in India. Not the only app that has been blocked in India, there have been others that have been blocked as well, because what they are doing is that they are highlighting the events that the BJP-led government is doing in India against the minorities. And this is not something new as well. This has been going on since quite a number of years, but since the Modi government came into power, this has kind of taken precedence, and the whole campaign has become more and more aggressive. Add to that is also the way the Indian army is siding with the BJP government, and adding to different machinations of their Hindutva regime. And add to that is the internet clampdown within India as well. To highlight all of these together, we've been joined in the studios by Farwa. She's a researcher with the India Study Center at the ISSI. Farwa, thank you very much to have joined us. Farwa, I'll begin with the Hindutva Watch, the website that we can access here in other countries but not in India. Do you feel India is really afraid of the truth coming out, or is there more to it?
Thank you for having me on the show. The question to this answer is yes and no as well. To the segment which says it's yes, because when definitely it will come out in international media, and if India does not block the direct access to what is happening with Indian minorities in this so-called largest democracy and secular country, definitely the international audience opinion and the international organizations pressure will definitely mount on Indian government, and that will curtail some of the soft image and other projections that India is trying to portray in the international system. So that is why it's blocking, definitely. But the bigger question and the most horrific symptom that we are now witnessing in the form of, the suffocating of all kind of voices, especially from minorities, especially the voices that are trying to speak their concerns regarding the democratic rights. It is not true. And it is not true that it is only in this government that is taking place, especially with the advent of Modi's government. India's democratic credentials have always been faulty and shaky. And I'm looking forward to the discussion in this talk show, and we will proceed with the discussion, then we'll understand and dissect the issue more in depth, because it leads back to the point in time when India gained freedom from Britishers, why they gained freedom and why they wanted at the time. And Congress was very clear that after the Britishers would leave the country, it would be Hindus, not Indians, it would be Hindus that would rule the country, not Muslims, not Christians, not Sikhs. And Sikhs were not categorized as a separate minority, they were categorized as Hindus, and this became a point of concern and contention for the Sikh community. The seeds were actually sowed at that time, but Congress, because it wanted to rule all over India, they wanted, so they because they wanted freedom from Britishers at that time. So their claims were democratic, secular, but their claims were not democratic and secular in their true essence. And I would also like to invite your attention to another party, another social organization at that time, Rashtriya Samaj Sevak Party, and it was purely Hindu nationalist organization. And what we are witnessing in Indian polity right now, it is actually coming from at that point of time. The Modi government, Modi himself, and I would explain later on, and the Jan Sangh family that joined RSS, they wanted Congress to act as a purely Hindu political organization and a party that would address the concerns of the majority that they thought were Hindus. And everybody is aware that it is RSS who's another person. He killed Gandhi because in his views Gandhi was not favoring the Hindu, and he was not protecting the rights of Hindus.
And now he's a hero in front of the RSS and the BJP-led government. But this said, it's interesting that you point out that since the very beginning, India has had these seeds sown inside its society, and they have just now come to fruition openly, but they have always been there. That sentiment has always been there since the partition, and I think that is why we should laud Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah to have given the Muslims of the subcontinent a place for them to profess their religion openly and to live life peacefully and independently. We are seeing the Muslims, how they are being treated in India as we speak. Now, speaking of the different acts, whether it be the controversial IT Act, under which now these sites are being blocked, whether it be the other acts that have, some of them have been struck down by the Supreme Court of India, but some haven't been, and the government continues to use those. Do you feel the use of illegal acts or unlawful acts has become the new norm?
Yes, it has become a new norm, and it will continue to do so, and this is not going to change. I am so sorry, and this feels very unfortunate. And when people look at it and this sorry state of affairs of India, they question the democratic credential, the secular credential, and they also question whether they are international relations scholars, whether they are politicians, they are a human rights organization. But then this is the point, why we are expecting India to behave like a true democracy when it is not a true democracy. So this is the problem. So when Modi came to power, and he has decided what he has seen, it is very interesting how Modi saw his making as a person, as a politician, and he himself belongs to a lower caste, and his caste is categorized as other backward classes in India. And when we look at this phenomena of violating minority rights in India, especially religious minority rights, other minorities like Dalits, their rights have also been violated, and
continue to be,
and they would continue to be, and they are now converting into Buddhist, and that is initiating another movement. This is new Buddhist movement, new Dalit Buddhist movement. So this will continue. And coming to what is happening with Muslims, India was never belonged to Muslims to begin with, because this is what they are trying to establish. And there are other researchers, they are also saying that what India is doing in the name of Hinduism, in the name of spirituality, and the other, by projecting its other lofty principles, like we are for all humanity, and we are coming from our ancient Hindu Sanskrit roots. That's not true. They're calling it Om washing. They want to saffronize all country, and they're very okay with Indian minorities, whether they're religious minorities and other minorities, if they accept the dominance, the hegemony of Hindu. if you were an Indian minority and you have no problem with Hindu domination, you are abandoning your culture, your values, they are okay with that. Then this is
but
the
this is
problem.
what they want. When you say saffronization, this is exactly what they want. Now, India's ranking in the 2023 World Press Freedom Index has slipped to 161 out of 180 countries. It was at 150 in 2022 and has further slipped. There is also the annual report by the global media watchdog Reporters Without Borders that also sees its popularity slipping as far as the rights of minorities is concerned. Don't you feel it is indication enough of India's maneuvering, if you want to call it machinations, to continue violence against minorities and curtail the truth? In your point of view, what is going to be the tipping point for the minorities in India and for the world to take concrete action or to revolt?
Yes, it is an indication. And this is also an indication of a brazenness of India to what extent they will curtail their minority rights. And this is also a very sorry affair of Indian democracy these days, that in their perspective, in their worldview, there is no measure they're not going to take that will achieve that will help them achieve their objectives. But the point that you have raised, it's a very pertinent point, that when it's going to be a tipping point. And sometimes I also ask myself as a researcher, what could be the tipping point for the people, for the region, for the international organization and international community, when your conscience is gonna shake up and you're gonna tell this largest democracy, look, this is just not right. But that is the problem. The human rights organization and institutions, they are just toothless tigers. They are just pointing out the facts. But now you see, when we factor in all these developments in a world which is in disorder, what we cannot expect much from them. You know, this is a truth told to us by researchers and by our forefathers as well, that Hindus, they are very much into money making. So this is what they are offering to the world. This is Modi's Gujarat's model as well. So you do everything, but you sell business, you sell industry.
So that all the violence that has been done, all the genocide, so-called, all the actions taken against the minorities are swept under the rug.
Yes, that's right. And sir, I would like to invite your attention to something which was a grave concern to international humanity and so-called champions of democracy and human rights, the Western world. What happened in the last summit of G20 that was presided and hosted by India? India was the country that did not invite the Prime Minister of Ukraine. India calls itself the leader of the global south and the champion of human rights and democracy. Human rights is not the concern of India, but is it the concern of Western nations, the US-led West? You know, when India offered India Middle East Europe economic corridor to Western nations, they got silence. They had no problem with
Farwa,
that.
I'd like to understand another thing, and that concerns hate speech. We've seen a lot of hate speech under the BJP-led government, and this Hindutva Watch and India Hate Lab, both who have been now banned in India, they took out a report in September last year, very recent report, that analyzed more than 255 incidents of hate speech. Around 70% of those hate speeches occurred around election campaigns in 2023 and 2024. Do you feel that India will continue to use hate speech as a tool to garner more votes even this year in elections?
Yes, and I am so sorry. I'm answering yes to your every question. That should be a compliment to your intellect as well. So that's right, and it is not something that is new in India. I would like to take you to the time when BJP was in its formation phase. When BJP was a small party, it wasn't winning. But when Modi became a member of BJP, and it is in his biography and documentaries as well, he told them to use the religious card. and the Ekta Yatra and the other yatra, the Ram Bhumi Yatra. It was his plan, and from there, from early 1960s to that point, you know, this has become a tree which you just cannot cut off like easily.
The roots are expanding and expanding.
The roots are expanding, and now the Hindu sentiment, which was already there, Modi has ignited to a point. It has become so radicalized that unless I'm actually recalling the previous question to the tipping point, unless something implodes, that India implodes from inside, and it is actually imploding from inside.
You know, you remember the head of Genocide Watch who has said it some time back that India is moving towards a full-time genocide, and if the way the current government continues to move or you know, maneuver, it is going to happen sooner than later. Hate crimes is also something for which in 2017 and 2019 Hindustan Times newspaper and India Spend were both closed. A certain, you know, faction of their agency was closed because they were investigating hate crimes. But there's another thing. There's a clampdown on all these you know, websites, but there is also media or internet clampdown that is happening in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. That has been happening for quite some time now. You know, you recall, I cannot see any year where for a certain number of days or months the internet has been completely closed. Whether it be in 2018, 418 times internet was closed. 84 out of the 187 internet shutdowns in 2022, just 2 years back, 84 were in India, 49 were in Kashmir. Is this a new modus operandi as far as India is concerned to restrict Kashmiri voices?
Yes, as far as cyber domain is concerned, as far as social media is concerned, this is a new modus operandi. But I would again insist that this was not new with Modi. It was in 1960s when Modi started a campaign. He went to Lal Chowk of Srinagar, and he told his party workers and other people that we will hoist the Indian flag in Lal Chowk of Srinagar. Come who wants to come, and we will see. Say this, and just because we are here to educate more our audience, I would like to take you why it is happening. Somebody can also take a look at it from a perspective that he is doing it just to gain political favor and votes, but it would have been a lesser evil if he was doing it for this cause. But his cause is different. Modi is actually a symbol of demented ideology. He says, and his party also, BJP, he has been contesting with the Congress that Kashmir is ours. Why you are giving it to Kashmiris, or why we should be even thinking of a plebiscite?
Giving their right to self-determination.
Yes, they don't want to give it a right. So when Modi came to power, and when 2014 comes, then it is like the seed of Hindu nationalism has matured enough that you know, there are not many voices that actually support the suspension of special status of Jammu and Kashmir. There are not much voices.
You know, Farwa, to be very frank, they can say whatever they want, but the fact remains that Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir remains a contested state, and as per the United Nations, the plebiscite needs to happen whenever it happens, and the right to self-determination needs to be given to the people of Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. I hope it's given sooner than later. Thank you very much, Farwa, researcher with the India Study Center of the ISSI, to have joined us, to have talked to us about very, very important things, whether it be, you know, the blocking of websites, the internet blockage in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the rights of minorities that are being clamped with every passing day, and the whole list goes on. We could have talked for an hour more, but we are a bit short of time. Thank you very much. Nevertheless, you have joined us, and kindly stay just for 5 minutes till I should complete the show. Let's end with our last two stories, and the first concerns Malaysia, who has welcomed its new king in a unique rotating monarchy, Sultan Ibrahim, who is the wealthy and outspoken ruler of Malaysia's southern Johor state, has been sworn in as the country's new king in a ceremony that happened today. Now, Malaysia practices a unique form of monarchy in which the heads of the country's 9 royal families take turns to be king for a 5-year reign. The monarchy plays a ceremonial role, but also has become more influential in the recent years. Sultan Ibrahim is 65 years of age. He hails from the southern state of Johor, whose sultanate can be traced back to the 16th century. He, of course, is one of the richest person as far as Malaysia is concerned. And also the monarch, if we just look at the powers that the monarchy has, the monarch plays a largely ceremonial role, acts as a custodian of Islam. The federal constitution requires the monarch to act upon the advice of the prime minister and the cabinet, with few exceptions. He is allowed to appoint a prime minister who he believes has a parliamentary majority. And some more powers that are also given to him. So, of course, congratulations to King Sultan Ibrahim, the new monarch of Malaysia, and all the best to him for his reign. And we hope that relations between Malaysia and Pakistan continue to strengthen. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we'll end with astronomy and how astronomers in Chile will be scouring the universe thanks to a new mega camera. The size of a small car weighing 2.8 metric tons, this sophisticated piece of equipment will reveal views of the cosmos as never before. This has been said by the officials. This will start operations next year, that is 2025. This $800 million camera will snap its first photos. The machine will sweep the sky every 3 days, allowing scientists to reach new heights in the galactic analyses. You know, space is the new frontier, as Star Trek used to say, and it indeed is. And thanks to these new inventions and cameras, we'll be able to decipher and understand more of what the universe has to offer or is offering. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow when news story segments are put into us, you in Pakistan. Till then, stay safe. Allah Hafiz. Thank you, Ms. Farwa.